Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start as always with a quick sound check. Make sure speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, I am tearing apart systems and putting them back together better again. There's no build this week because I'm midstream on that, but I wanted to show you some progress and something that I had always kind of wanted to improve, but in the sort of roundabout way became something that needed to be worked on actually because of some stuff that all I wants to do with scopes, and it provided me the perfect opportunity to. Let's clear that, reset that. And so basically, the laser and light systems that are in the game are in the process of being replaced. And sort of, it was one of those things that occurred to me that all of the remaking of the scope system for the game has been really transformative to basically the entire game, precisely because it's right at the center of the game, which is aiming. And so, grab this here, give yourself a gun. We have let me actually pull out one of the old laser attachments, and I can talk about what is suboptimal about them. So, the first thing with them, obviously, is that they're just a dot. The size has been decent, but, this isn't... A laser dot can be made to look better than this. But more importantly, these have been non-adjustable, meaning that they point directly in the direction of the rail, which is a problem for certain categories of guns, and becomes an even bigger problem from an accuracy standpoint once you get past a certain distance, because obviously we have bullet drop that occurs, and whereas the laser is going straight forward. So let's pull that off. Let's put this on here. This is still very work in progress, by the way. Right now, to manipulate this, I do have to pull up a menu. We have a new menu that's similar to the scope menu. Weirdly, Devlog bug. I don't know why that's rotated. Offset like 15 degrees. Man, I really have my stuff together. But let's turn this on, and at first you're like, okay, that looks pretty close, but there's some important differences here. The way that the laser dot is drawn now has a little bit of internal color variance. It more softly blends on the border. It has some more pleasant blooming, and it is actually based on some proper math for diffusion over distance. So instead of just being whatever I coded that to be 5 or 6 years ago. But in addition to that, if we pull this real close up to the eye, you can see with our red laser that there is a beam that is barely visible. It should be barely visible for a red laser, but if we set this over here, it is very visible for a green laser. Check that out. Ollie did such an amazing job with the noise. I hope this is performance efficient enough. We'll have to do some testing on that. It's doing some real-time 3D volume noise for that look. But yeah, so all lasers will be able to have multiple colors configured into them, as well as a whole bunch of parameters for that, both for the ones that I'm going to be doing, i.e. I'm going to replace every laser in the game with this system, but there's also going to be a whole bunch of extra hooks in there for modders who want to do weirder and more exotic things. And of course, a blue laser, because glowy blue stuff is 100% my jam. Just can't get enough of it. But what's super cool about this now is that the lasers can also be zeroed. They have a base zero system similar to the new set, similar to the scopes. And so what this means is that by default at base zero, it's just going completely forward relative to the gun. So if I line this up as perfectly as I can with the center of the 10 there, we should shoot slightly high. Yep, that's just about what I would expect because of the difference between here and the bore. But if we set this to 10 here, new set, because this is exactly at 10 as well. Let's get it perfect. Better. There we go. So yeah, and I can demonstrate how well this actually works by doing a bit of an extreme test. Let's get out our mile-high riser here. This will help demonstrate the difference between these things more perfectly. Obviously, this doesn't turn off now when you detach it. Cool. So at 0, this should be pointed straight forward. So yes, if we line it up there, if we try to aim the laser at this now, we should hit, yeah, the top of the paper target there. Because how about that? How about that height over bore or height under bore? Whereas at 10, despite the extreme angle, this should line up. This feels so ridiculous. Beautiful. Of course, with this kind of offset, this laser would be absolutely useless except at exactly one distance. But it demonstrates that the zeroing is now working on it and responding to the offset between the bores and such. So yeah, so I'm going to continue working on these. There's some stuff that I have to do with the lights as well, which I'll cover next week. One other thing that I wanted to actually demonstrate, and we're going to jump into a different scene to take a look at this. Let's see if I can do this before my controller runs out of battery. One of the things I wanted to show off that we actually put in the game a little while ago, and I forgot to show you folks, was the special scope that just the Meat Fortress sniper rifle got, that actually sort of inspired doing zeroing with the attachable lasers. Basically, this is the most video game scope that is in the game, in that if we look down at here, we can see that we have a reticle and a laser dot. And the laser dot is pointing exactly where the round is going to hit, and then the reticle is actually adapting itself to where the laser is in world space. And we can really see this when we say go from here to here. Notice, see that reticle jump up and down? That's because it's actually pointing at where the round is going to hit. So if I get this right here, bam, exactly there. And then without any sort of re-zeroing or anything else like that, we just come out to here. Blammo! So yeah, I just thought it was one of those things. As I said, we spent all this time trial and erroring to get this to work, and then didn't actually show it off. But I think it's just really neat because, like, whereas every other scope in H3 is trying to mimic realistic scope behaviors, this was constructed via completely different logic that is meant to reproduce the sort of impossible behavior that you get out of a video game scope, or really any video game reticle, where the bullet is basically just coming right out of the camera eye vector, and that's why it lines up. Bammo. So yeah, just wanted to show you folks that. I have something else to show you folks as well that has nothing to do with H3. So many of you know that Steam Next Fest is going on right now, and I wanted to mention that the group I'm part of, Rust Limited, has another little project available with a demo right now. This is the brainchild of Luke, one of the four of us, of our 4-core team, that he's been working on this for a while now. And it's called Typing Simulator, and it's a typing training data visualization kind of game/app. Let me make sure I have cursor focus on it. There we go. And so yes, we've got it is VR, as you can tell from my head moving around here. We've got a virtual keyboard down here, which can actually be configured over in the workshop for those of you who are like extreme keyboard nerds. Our group has a whole bunch of keyboard nerds in it. I'm probably the least so. I just use a Microsoft Split Sculpt ergonomic. But if we jump in here and just grab one of our exercises here. Oh, this is going to be embarrassing. I'm not a good typist at all. I need this application. You basically get various exercises. Let's see. Oh, no. This is every time I do something that other people will watch. And, of course, talk while doing it, which is itself a challenge. T. No, right at the end. Cool. And so basically you get a visualization of how you did across it, how much time, where your errors were, which keys you were using, and there will be basically a bunch of different... Let's have it throw another one at us here. Terrible. I don't know about you folks, but I was never actually taught proper typing in school, and so totally did the, just use 2 of my fingers on each hand thing for way too long into my life. I now have, I would say 70 to 80% proper typing form. But yeah, so there's learning, there's drills, there's speed tests, there's leaderboards for this stuff for those of you who want to not only improve your typing quality for yourself, but compete with other people. Yeah, I'm not going to do one of those right now. Let me just do a speed test here. Embarrass myself further. 3, 2, 1, etc. Oh, God. Nope, lost it. Embarrassing. But hey, that's the purpose of something like this. I don't know. I think prior to Luke embroiling me in this, I think the last time I had even tried to do anything approaching a structured typing exercise was high school, and boy howdy did it show. There we go. Normally it's just, shall we say, the WASD keys that get a whole bunch of use. So yeah, so if this is the sort of thing that you're curious about, if you'd like to futz around with this, it is up. There is a demo up on Steam Next Fest right now. Give it a shot. Feel free to leave a comment in the Steam forum section if it's something up your alley, or if it's something where you're like, hey, it'd be cool if it had this or that in it, as folks are wont to do. So yeah, out of VR. Thanks for taking a look at that. In terms of what else that I am working on, as I said, the sort of laser and light systems are getting a bit of a redo. One of the reasons that I wanted to look at flashlights again is because of a couple things. One, the way that was all set up and has been in the game for years was very much based on what the performance profile of the average person's computer who was playing the game was in 2016/2017. And back then, just having one extra real-time light was oftentimes enough to just tank performance for folks. But time has passed, and though H3's environments have gotten more complex as well, it feels like that's something that I can loosen up a little bit on, especially given that with the options in the options panel, you can still turn extra lights off. And so I want to actually make those flashlights more functional, both because it would have an impact in levels like Institution, but people have been, especially after the Tracer update, have been like, can we please have a dark level? And so I'm totally going to make a dark level for you folks. And I'm willing to say now that I have been investigating with Ole the feasibility of having night vision scopes and actually making that sort of thing work properly in game. Obviously, that's not just a rendering issue, but it's also one of those sorts of things where the AI should, to some degree or another, react differently based on illumination. So I have been going through my SOSIG code and trying to figure out the most elegant and tactical way that could be feasible, in a way that doesn't require me reauthoring a bajillion things in the game. So I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's something I'm working out on paper. But yeah, I just wanted to convey that is one of the current research projects going on in the game. It's one of those sorts of things that it has probably been at this point the highest and most high frequency request of folks. And I've given a hard no, absolutely not for it for a while, and with this one I might be budging. As I said, I don't want to fully commit to it yet. I could run into an immutable roadblock, I just don't know, but it's the side of things that I'm investigating. And it's part of the reason actually why I started with the laser re-implementation, is that one of the advantages with like night vision and such is having like IR lasers and things like that, which means handling different illumination levels. And so it just made sense to do the lasers first and then see what else things can be rolled into. So yeah, well, that is what I'm working on. I hope that is interesting to you folks, and I'll have more to show you all next week. Peace.